First thing you want to do is make sure your workspace is sanitized, that your bottles are okay, not that kind of homebrewing. I've played quite a few different decks when it comes to Magic, and I've tried a few different things out in my time of Magic. And something that I have found is really rewarding, and not just in the gameplay, but I'll get into all that. So what is it? It's homebrewing. And what makes it rewarding? And what do I mean by rewarding? When you play a deck that is at the top of the meta, something that has been crowdsourced to its how do I want to word this? Or what's the best way to word this that I can? It's undergone many, many, many iterations, and people have thrown all kinds of questions at it, if you will. Can you beat mono red? And the deck says, yes, I can, because I'm Golgari, and it's too early to 2019, and Golgari is still a very strong deck. Actually, I think right now Sultai is strong, the strongest deck, and according to the MTG Goldfish metrics. When you go to your local game store to play during the FNM or the Standard Showdown or whatever it is, the standard event that you're showing up at, and you're playing the top of the dog heap in terms of most winningest decks, if you don't win, it will be a slight blow to you on a personal ego level, and that's not going to feel real good. Now, why is that going to happen? That's going to happen because if you're honest with yourself, unless you just got screwed over by bad draws. But that aside, if you lose with that deck, it's something that you did wrong, more likely than the deck failing. Because if you look at the metrics, the metrics say this deck should win more than any other deck. And so if you're losing more often than you're winning with that deck, let's say you go to a 4-round tournament and you only win one of those rounds, that's going to kind of stink, and it's not going to feel real good. You look at the deck and you go, okay, it's the best deck according to the internet and to the tournaments. It's won this tournament, and it won the SCG this, and it won that, and it won on it went 5-0 multiple times on MTGO. What's going on here? And again, like I said, if you're honest, you'll look in the mirror and go, oh, must be me. Well, damn, that's no good. So how do you fix that? Well, you either just get suddenly better or you try homebrewing. Now you could say, well, why don't I try another deck? You could. You absolutely could. You could go and try a worse deck, and you could try tweaking the best deck, and you could try and modify some things and try it out for what you think is good for your particular meta environment. Because the meta environment, the whole game environment of a Magic Fest or a Star City Games Invitational is going to be a lot different than what it is at your local game store. The people competing at the highest levels of Magic don't have to worry about cards. They're going to get the cards that they need. That is the least of their concerns. Their concerns are who they're matching up against and card draws. Variance plays a large role in that level of gameplay. It's not so much are they making the right plays, because most of the time, the people that are playing at that tier are going to be making the right plays. But you, at your local game store, are not going to be faced up against people that have access to all the cards that they could possibly want. Maybe some of the players that you run into just are able to throw tons of money at a card library and get whatever they want. But I would venture to bet that that's not everyone that you're facing. People are going to have jobs, and they're going to have families, and Magic is going to be a part of their life. It might even be a very large part of their life. But it probably isn't going to be such a large part of their life that they're able to shell out all the money that they could want, and they have 4 of every single card that's always in standard, and they just make sure that they do that. Again, that might be a couple people at your local game store, but it's probably not everyone. So, what deck do you bring to your local game store to try and do well? I would argue you should bring a deck that you care about. I have this feeling, and I don't know if there's anything to back this in terms of studies or research, but I have the feeling that the deck that you enjoy to play, you will play much better than the deck that you don't really care for. The the studies that you care to learn, the work that you care to do, you will do better. The language that you actually want to learn, you will learn better and more quickly than the one that you're just told you have to learn because you need these credits in school and you just have to do it. You're going to drag your feet. You're going to resist and fight every way that you can. In my previous video, I talked about getting better at the game, and I started that video by saying the desire to get better at something is the very first step, because that's an admittance that you're not as good as you could be. So one way to get better at the game of Magic is to understand the game of Magic better. And one way to understand the game of Magic better is by trying things out. So try this out for 1 week. 1 week. If you're usually net decking, and I don't have anything against net decking, I really don't. I think it's totally fine. I'm just suggesting that what you do for 1 week is come up with an idea. Whatever that idea is. You see a card, and I'll bet this has already happened. You've seen a card such as Alinda the Dusk Rose, or Paradoxical, what was that? There was a Panharmonicon, that was an Aether Revolt, or Kaladesh, or Verdant Gear Force. That's not right. Verdant Gear Hulk. Something like that? I don't remember the name of it. Combustible Gear Hulk, or Lich's Mastery, or Simic Ascendancy, or Hadana's Climb. You see one of these cards and you go, boy, that seems like a really fun card to build around. Do it. Build around that card. Try something out. Now, I would advise that you look at the other decks that are in those colors to see what are some cards that are being played and get your juices, your creative juices flowing, but try it out. The worst that could happen is it falls flat on its face and it doesn't work. But at least you'll have had some fun. At least that's the hope.